Here in the southwest, there is a wealth of history buried just beneath our feet. From Roman coins to Saxon villages, this history of Britain is just waiting to be uncovered. Planning laws in the UK require that any new construction work must be assessed by archaeologists to protect our cultural heritage. Here at Shapwick in Somerset, YTL Construction UK have been commissioned to build a new wetland scheme for Wessex Water. And during the archaeological survey, they discovered something very interesting indeed.
I met with archaeologist Stuart Randall Patkai from AC Archaeology and Heritage to talk us through the find.
So Stuart, we're here at Shapwick where it's been recently excavated, where I think you found something quite interesting indeed. What have you found?
Well, in an earlier part of the project, we found a large Roman building, and then we had this excavation area in which we've uncovered a secondary building and a small structure just to the side.
Do you have any idea what the age of the structure is at the moment as well?
Definitely Roman, but as to whether it's early, middle or late Roman, we're not too sure yet. This is the sort of thing that will come out in the post-excavation stage when we assess all the pottery, the coins, the brooches and things like that, and we'll get a much finer date at that point.
Great, so what are we looking at here?
So we've got a really nice drain structure here. It's constructed of lies blocks. There's two parallel lines of blocks there, and then you've got capstones running all the way down this side of this building. So these drain structures are really interesting archaeologically because artefacts that people lose or discard end up working their way into these drain structures. What will happen is that people will, items, they'll drop them or they'll fall off their person or something like that. Gravity or water or wind will just wash them into the drain, they just end up there. And we've taken soil samples of them as well because they're good for finding what we call ecofacts. So environmental things like charcoals, burnt seeds, pollen. That tells us more information about what's in the local environment, what plants they're exploiting, what plants they're eating. These are really good features for building up a picture of what's happening in these buildings and in the wider landscape. This is the extra room that they've added to this building. When they've extended this building outwards, they've added this building on at a later date. But this has got a really nice curved construction on the corner. And you can also see the classic Roman building style of what we call herringbone. So you have these stones pitched at 45-degree angles. So we're standing on the corner of the original building. So originally this building was just a rectangular room, and they've expanded the building out this way. So you can see this stone here is very, very different to these large lice blocks here, but you can still see traces of the original wall. If they had a doorway, likely would have been in the central area or maybe just off the centre. In the northeast part of the site, it was almost certainly a smithy of some kind. We found lots and lots of iron waste and charcoal that had been sort of discarded on the floor and trampled in.
Would it be typical to have a smithy attached to a domestic house?
I would expect to find a smithy maybe on a farming settlement or something like that. Back in the Roman times, I think everything would have been little bit more sort of small scale. Lots of these things would be, well, to use modern terminology, in-house. It's not a complete surprise to find a small smithy of that kind.
What kind of objects and artefacts did you find that told us a bit more a story about what's happening here?
It was quite rich in pottery. We found a number of coins as well in the southern part of the building. Some sort of large storage vessels, but also some finer pottery, some Samian and things like that.
I spoke to Naomi Payne from AC Archaeology, who was able to show me the finds up close.
Hello, Naomi.
Hello, nice
okay?
to meet you.
Wow, this is the find.
Yeah, well, this is just some of the finds.
Fantastic. Where should we start?
So this particular tile I spotted, it turns out to be quite an unusual sort of tile called a hollow voussoir. These ones are actually used to construct arches. This certainly came from a bathhouse with a vaulted roof. I don't know if you can see here, but it's got a big thumbprint. So whoever's made it, they've combed the decoration on here, the keying, and then they, for some reason, put their thumb in there as part of the design.
And what's this rather large looking iron object here?
Indeed, it's an iron billhook. So not quite an axe for fairly large tasks like maybe cutting branches of trees and that kind of thing. It's really heavy actually. So it's got a socket for a handle, wooden handle in here, and then this is the cutting edge. This is a very small selection of the pottery that we've had from site, like this black burnished ware jar. This would have been used for storage or cooking, so you can imagine it's actually from quite a large vessel. There's another piece here from a similar vessel, which is, can you see the decoration on there?
It's like pattern in there, that's amazing.
There are a couple of brooches here. I'll just take them out so you can have a closer look. This one's pretty much complete.
Oh wow, that's amazing. The detail on that.
This is one of the earlier coins on the site, and this is a denarius because it's got a high silver content. It's a lot better preserved than some of the later coins. So can you see you've got the portrait on that side?
Yes,
so that's the emperor's head, and then there's a standing figure on the other side. Wow. So Roman coins are all like really detailed in terms of like the catalogues of them. So I know that this coin dates from between 103 and 111 AD. This is a piece of a late Roman bracelet with a crenelated edge, an incomplete Roman spoon. You can see a tiny bit of the bowl just here, and the bowl would have sat like this here. The handle is really beautifully twisted along its length.
Does it paint any kind of picture about who was living here at Shapwick?
Such a range of material, from dress accessories, coins, textile production. The people here had access to quite nice jewellery and pottery sourced from quite some distance away. So I think they must have been people of means to be able to afford to buy such a range of material.
In terms of the other projects that you've worked on in the Somerset region, how does this particular excavation rank for you?
What's nice is we've got lots of the buildings surviving. Generally you find Roman buildings, but you'll find just the foundation trenches. So to find the walls still in situ is really, really good. It gives you even more of a picture of what the buildings would have looked like. Yeah, one of my favourite sites I've ever worked on.
This discovery at the future Somerset Levels and Moors wetlands shows why surveys like these are so important. Sites such as this give us a remarkable glimpse into our past, helping us better understand the journey that has brought us to where we are today.